Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In front of our camera is a Lenovo ThinkPad T420. Released in 2011, this classic model is a true masterpiece of engineering. With its legendary keyboard, robust build quality, and iconic red track point, it's a machine built to last. But to be honest, running modern browsers and outdated software on its original hardware results in a very sluggish experience. More importantly, in today's digital age, running an unsupported, outdated operating system poses significant security risks. So, what's the solution? Should we just chuck it in the bin? Of course not. We're going to carry out the ultimate privacy upgrade. Today, we'll walk you through the complete process of installing PureOS 10.3, codenamed Byzantium, on the ThinkPad T420. You might ask, why choose PureOS? If you're not yet familiar with it. PureOS is a Linux distribution maintained by Purism, the company behind the Librem laptops and the Librem 5 mobile phone. It is built on the principles of absolute digital freedom and has been certified by the Free Software Foundation, meaning it contains no proprietary firmware or closed source code. PureOS is a privacy-first, security-centered operating system designed to put you back in control of your digital life. The Byzantium 10.3 version we're installing today is based on Debian 11 Bullseye. It features the modern GNOME 3.38 desktop environment, supports the Wayland display protocol, and focuses on convergence, meaning the same operating system can run on both laptops and mobile phones. It is ideally suited to our T420 project, as its hardware is fully compatible with the Linux kernel, including Intel Wi-Fi drivers, which means we can achieve a fully free software experience without having to use proprietary Wi-Fi drivers. So, make yourself a cup of coffee, open up your laptop, and let's get to work. The first step is to download the PureOS ISO file. For this step, you will need a fully functional computer with an internet connection. Open your web browser, search for PureOS on Google, and visit the official PureOS website. The address is pureos.net. At the top of the homepage, you will see a navigation bar. Click on Download. On the PureOS download page, the GNOME version is provided by default. As PureOS uses the GNOME desktop by default, we can simply click Download Byzantium. Once clicked, the PureOS ISO file will begin downloading automatically. The ISO file is approximately 1.6 gigabytes in size, so please be patient. Whilst it is downloading, you might like to have a cup of coffee or check the BIOS settings on your ThinkPad T420. Once downloaded, it is advisable to verify the integrity of the ISO file using the provided MD5 or SHA-256 checksums. This ensures the file has not been corrupted during the download. You will usually find instructions for this next to the download button on the PureOS website. Next, we will convert the PureOS ISO file into a bootable USB drive. We will use a tool called Balena Etcher to write the ISO file to the USB drive. Balena Etcher is a free open-source program that supports Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. It is arguably the simplest way to create a bootable Linux USB drive, and I recommend it to anyone who is unfamiliar with command line tools. Please download and install Etcher on your current computer. Once you have downloaded the PureOS ISO file and installed Etcher, insert your USB drive. When you open Etcher, you'll find the interface is very straightforward. Three main buttons will appear on the screen. The first button is Flash from File. Click this button, navigate to the location where you saved the PureOS ISO file, and select it. The second button is Select Target. Insert your USB drive into your computer, then click Select Target. Etcher will display the available drives. Be very careful to select your USB drive and not any other drive. Etcher helpfully labels the drives, showing their capacity and name, which helps to avoid selecting the wrong one. However, you should still double-check carefully. Third button, Flash. Once you have confirmed the ISO file and the target drive, click the Flash button. Etcher will prompt you to enter administrator or sudo credentials. This is normal, as writing to the drive requires higher privileges. Enter your password and confirm. This process may take a few minutes, depending on the speed of your USB drive. you will see a progress bar. Please do not remove the USB drive or close the Etcher program whilst this is in progress. Once the flashing is complete, Etcher will automatically run a verification step, reading the contents it has just written to ensure they match the source file. This is another effective integrity check. When finished, you will receive a confirmation message. Do not format the USB drive once this is complete. Simply eject it safely. Once the PureOS bootable USB drive has been created, we insert it into the ThinkPad T420. Switch on the ThinkPad T420, then immediately press the F1 key repeatedly to enter the BIOS utility settings. In the BIOS, use the right arrow key to navigate to the Startup tab. First, press the F9 key to restore the default settings, then press Enter to confirm. Next, we set UEFI Legacy Boot to UEFI only. Finally, we press the F10 key to save and exit, then press Enter to confirm. The ThinkPad T420 will now restart. When the ThinkPad boot screen appears again, we press the F12 key to enter the boot menu. In the boot menu, we select to boot from the USB HDD and press Enter to confirm our selection. After a brief black screen, we arrive at the PureOS Boot Options menu. Here we see several options, but to ensure a smooth standard installation on older hardware, the default option is usually the best choice. So the first option, PureOS Live, is the one we want. Select it and press Enter to confirm your choice. Our ThinkPad T420 laptop will load the fully featured PureOS Live desktop directly from the USB drive. It runs entirely from the USB drive without accessing our internal hard drive. Even on older hardware such as the ThinkPad T420, PureOS loads quite quickly. It took just under 40 seconds. We are now on PureOS's attractive GNOME Live desktop. This PureOS Live desktop is very clean and minimalist, with a beautiful minimalist landscape painting as the default wallpaper. In the dock on the left-hand side, you can see the icons for the default applications. The default browser is GNOME Web, formerly known as Epiphany, which uses DuckDuckGo as its default search engine to protect your privacy. The bottom panel contains the taskbar, system tray, and application launcher. In this PureOS Live desktop environment, you can test whether all the hardware on your ThinkPad T420 is functioning correctly. For example, Wi-Fi, audio, the touchpad, the keyboard, and USB ports. This is your chance to identify any compatibility issues before proceeding with the installation. You can also use the live environment to access your existing drives. If you haven't wiped the data yet, you can copy any files you need, although you should have already backed them up. Within the PureOS Live desktop, you can also test or try out the operating system's various features. All of this ensures that PureOS is compatible with your ThinkPad T420's hardware before installation. If the tests are all successful, we can begin the installation. Click the Activities button in the top left corner, and you'll see a large icon labeled Install PureOS. Clicking this will launch the Calamares installer, a graphical installation program that is very user-friendly and is used by many Linux distributions. It will guide us step by step through the entire installation process. Step 1. Set your preferred language. This is usually set to your preferred language by default, but you can scroll through the list and select any language you prefer. This determines the display language of the installer interface and, more importantly, will automatically configure the system's regional settings, keyboard layout, and some system prompts. Click Next to continue. Step 2. Set your location. Click on your region on the map, or select your continent from the drop-down menu. Then choose your city or region. This will set your location and time zone, ensuring that your clock is always accurate. Click Next to continue. Step 3. Set your keyboard layout. If you are in the United States, the default option may be US English. But if you are using a different physical keyboard layout, please select it here. There is a text box at the bottom of the screen where you can type test characters to confirm that the layout matches your expectations before continuing. This is more important than people realize. If you select the wrong one, you will struggle with the symbols and punctuation on your keyboard throughout the installation process, unless you change it later in the system settings. Once you've confirmed everything is correct, click Next to continue. Step 4. Disk partitioning. For most users, particularly if you wish to make PureOS your sole operating system, or if you are able to erase everything on the ThinkPad T420's hard drive, please select Erase Disk. This is the simplest option and is strongly recommended for most users installing PureOS as their sole operating system. It will erase your entire hard drive and automatically create the necessary partitions. If you choose this option, please ensure you have backed up your data. Here, you need to make a very important decision. You will see a tick box labeled Insprit System. I strongly recommend that you tick this box. This will set up LUKEY's full disk encryption. LUKEY stands for Linux Unified Key Setup. Every time you start up your ThinkPad from now on, you will need to enter your password before the operating system boots. If someone were to steal your laptop, all they would see is a jumble of gibberish. The system will prompt you to enter your encryption password. Please ensure your password is sufficiently strong. Do not lose it, as the encrypted drive cannot be recovered without the password. Click Next to continue. Step 5. Create your user account. Enter your name, username, computer name, and password. Here, you can also tick the box to log in automatically without entering a password. Be sure to remember your password, as you will need it to log into the system and perform administrative tasks in future. Click Next to continue. Step 6. Review your installation summary. The installer now displays a summary of everything we have configured, including language, location, keyboard, partition scheme, and user accounts. Please read through this carefully. Pay particular attention to the partitioning section. Ensure that the correct hard drive is selected and that the partition layout appears correct. If you spot any errors, click the back button to return and make corrections. If everything looks correct, click Install. At this point, the installer will ask you to confirm the changes to the disk. Please read the warnings carefully and only click Install Now if you are absolutely certain. Step 7. The system begins installation. During this time, the installer will copy files, install the system, and configure everything. The installer will copy files from the USB drive to the hard drive, install the bootloader, and configure the system. On this ThinkPad T420 laptop, the PureOS installation process actually took approximately 2 minutes and 50 seconds. During this time, you will see a progress bar and various messages explaining what is happening at each stage, as well as a series of PureOS slides. You do not need to do anything at this stage. Step 8. Installation complete. The installer informs us that PureOS has been successfully installed. We can now choose to restart the computer to boot into the new system, or continue using the PureOS live environment. We will now click Done to restart the computer and apply the new operating system. Once the screen goes black during the reboot, you must remove the USB installation media. This is crucial to ensure your ThinkPad T420 does not attempt to boot from the USB again. After restarting your ThinkPad, you'll notice a few new changes. As we've opted for LUKEY's encryption, after the Lenovo logo appears, you'll see a black screen prompting you to enter your decryption password. Enter your password, press Enter, and watch the magic happen. Welcome to your freshly installed PureOS 10.3 Byzantium. You're now running a completely free, privacy-respecting operating system on a legendary piece of hardware. First, let's talk about the desktop experience. GNOME 3.38 uses the Wayland display protocol by default. Wayland is the modern standard for Linux graphics, offering greater security and smoother animations. However, on older Intel hardware, such as the HD 3000, you may occasionally encounter minor graphical glitches or screen tearing 13. If this happens, you can easily switch back to X11. First, log out of your current session. At the login screen, click on your username. Before entering your password, look for the cog icon in the bottom right corner. Click this icon, and you'll see an option to switch from PureOS, which uses Wayland, to PureOS on Xorg. Select this option, log in again, and you'll enjoy a stable and reliable desktop experience. So, what's it like logging in for the first time after installation? The first thing you'll probably notice is that GNOME feels different from the traditional Windows desktop. There's no start menu in the bottom left corner. By default, there are no icons scattered across the desktop. There's no taskbar permanently displaying every open window. This is by design. GNOME follows a design philosophy centered on simplicity and a focused workflow. Rather than constantly displaying everything, GNOME provides tools that appear automatically when you need them. At first, this may feel unfamiliar. Many users coming from Windows spend the first few minutes looking for familiar elements. Where are my applications? How do I switch between windows? Where is the system menu? Once you understand GNOME's approach, the answers become obvious. The core component of GNOME is called GNOME Shell. It controls the desktop experience. Application launch, window management, notifications, workspaces, system menus. GNOME does not treat the desktop as a permanent collection of objects, but rather as a workspace. Your applications are the focus. The interface remains unobtrusive. This approach is particularly effective on laptops, where screen space is limited. The ThinkPad T420's 14-inch display is not particularly large by modern standards. A minimalist interface helps to maximize the available workspace. At the top of the screen, you'll see the GNOME top bar. On the left are the activity buttons. The center usually displays the current date and time. On the right are the system indicators. These include network connection, volume control, battery status, system settings, user menu. The top bar remains minimal, as GNOME assumes you don't need all the options to be visible all the time. When you need more control buttons, simply tap once. GNOME's most important feature is the activity overview. Move the mouse pointer to the top left corner. Alternatively, press the super key on your keyboard. On a ThinkPad keyboard, the super key is usually the one with the Windows logo. The screen changes, your open windows become visible, a search field appears, a dock appears alongside it, your virtual workspace opens. This is GNOME's central command center. You don't need to search through menus. You can find almost anything instantly. One of GNOME's greatest strengths is its search function. Press the super key. Start typing the name of an application. For example, Firefox, Terminal, Settings, Files, LibreOffice. GNOME immediately searches for installed applications. Press the Enter key. The application launches. After a few days' practice, this workflow becomes very quick. Many experienced Linux users now rarely browse the application menu. They simply press the super key, type a few letters, and launch what they need. Of course, GNOME also offers a traditional application view. Open Activities, click the grid icon. You will see all installed applications arranged in pages. This view is very useful when exploring a new device. It allows you to discover what software is already available. A fresh installation of PureOS includes the following essential applications: Firefox Browser, Files File Manager, Terminal, Text Editor, Settings, Software Manager. You can install additional applications later via the Software Center or the command line. Another key feature of GNOME is virtual workspaces. Traditional desktop environments typically encourage users to open multiple windows on a single screen. Eventually, this can feel cluttered. GNOME takes a different approach to multitasking. Each workspace is like a separate virtual desktop. For example, Workspace 1, Web Browsing and Email, Workspace 2, Programming and Terminal Windows, Workspace 3, Files and Research. You can switch seamlessly between them. This workflow is particularly useful on the ThinkPad T420, as its display resolution is limited compared to modern laptops. Virtual workspaces effectively create more space without the need for a larger monitor. Next, let's discuss why we should install Linux. Why not simply stick with Windows? For many users of older hardware, Linux offers several compelling advantages. Firstly, modern Linux distributions continue to support hardware that manufacturers stopped caring about years ago. Secondly, Linux generally makes more efficient use of system resources. Thirdly, the operating system allows users complete control over software updates, privacy settings, and customization. Perhaps most importantly, Linux breathes new life into hardware that might otherwise end up as electronic waste. Every old laptop that continues to serve a useful purpose means one less device being sent to landfill. This is good for your wallet and good for the environment. Of all the available Linux distributions, why choose PureOS? That's a good question. PureOS was developed with privacy, freedom, and security as its primary design goals. Unlike many Linux distributions that include proprietary software by default, PureOS places a strong emphasis on free software. The project is maintained by Purism, the company behind the Librem range of laptops and smartphones. Purism has built a reputation for respecting user privacy and minimizing unnecessary data collection. PureOS embodies these values. It is based on Debian, one of the oldest and most respected Linux distributions still actively maintained today. Debian is renowned for its stability, reliability, and extensive software repositories. Rather than reinventing everything from scratch, PureOS builds upon Debian's tried and tested foundation, whilst incorporating its own privacy-focused philosophy. The result is a reliable, modern, and refreshing operating system, free from unnecessary commercial interference. We are installing PureOS 10.3, codenamed Byzantium, like many Debian-based systems. PureOS assigns a codename to each major release. Version 10.3 features a mature software stack, improved hardware compatibility, regular security updates, and a refined GNOME desktop experience. For older hardware, such as the ThinkPad T420, stability is more important than having the latest software packages. A reliable operating system is generally preferred over one packed with experimental features that may cause compatibility issues. Right, let's talk about desktop environments again. We'll briefly discuss GNOME. GNOME is one of the most widely used desktop environments in the Linux ecosystem. Unlike desktop environments that attempt to mimic Windows, GNOME follows its own design philosophy. It emphasizes simplicity, a clean visual design, keyboard efficiency, and minimizing distractions. At first, users migrating from Windows may find GNOME somewhat unfamiliar. The Activities overview replaces the traditional Start menu. Workspaces encourage better multitasking. Applications follow consistent interface guidelines. After using GNOME for a few days, many users find its workflow surprisingly natural, particularly on laptops such as the ThinkPad T420. GNOME strikes an elegant balance between functionality and visual appeal. Now let's address a common question. Can a laptop released in 2011 really run a modern GNOME desktop? The answer is yes, but you need to have realistic expectations. If your T420 has at least 8 GB of RAM and an SSD, GNOME performs exceptionally well for everyday computing. Web browsing, office work, programming, SSH sessions, media playback, PDF reading, email, and light photo editing are all perfectly feasible. Heavy-duty gaming? Not really. Modern AAA games are beyond the capabilities of this hardware. Professional 4K video editing? That's not realistic either. Machine learning and large AI models? Absolutely not. But if your aim is to boost productivity, learn Linux, write code, manage servers, or simply enjoy a reliable computer, the ThinkPad T420 still proves to be surprisingly powerful. To round off the video, let's take another look at the machine before us. A ThinkPad T420 running PureOS 10.3 Byzantium. The system boots up quickly from the SSD. GNOME provides a clean and responsive desktop. Firefox is ready for research. LibreOffice is ready for writing. The terminal patiently awaits the next command. Git is ready to track new projects. Python is available for experimentation. SSH can connect to remote systems. This laptop is no longer defined by its age. It is defined by its purpose. Whether this ThinkPad is your everyday computer, a backup machine, a programming laptop, or a dedicated Linux lab, I hope it continues to serve you well. Thank you for watching, and see you in our next video.